What's going on, guys? Welcome to Rabbit's Used Cars. It is Halloween, and what better car we got? We got the Boogeyman in the studio sitting here. I want to tell you something. You know, you're like, well, that's not that scary. I almost died in this car. That's pretty damn scary to me. When Chris said, hey, I want to bring one of the baddest gassers in the Southeast down to shoot with, of course, the Boogeyman, I'm all about it. And then it got me thinking about some of the fun drag strip stories. Now, we covered my dad dragging Jim Bullet Bailey down the Spartanburg Dragway. Of course, Spartanburg Dragway is long gone. It's been gone for years. And, you know, there's pictures online you can find of it. I mean, like, there's remnants of the tower and some parts of the track that hasn't been totally tore down. But there's so many good stories that come from that track. Now, we're going to hop around in some past videos to give you an idea of the guy that actually owned the Spartanburg Dragway. Spartanburg Dragway is about 45 minutes from where we're at right now here in downtown Greenville, of course, in Spartanburg, South Carolina. Spartanburg Dragway really came on strong in the late 70s and early 80s, and it was a real popular drag strip around here. And the guy that owned it, he was a crook, but he was a hell of a promotional guy, is the best way. Kind of like, have you ever seen Semi-Pro with Will Ferrell? Like, he's the Jackie Moon of drag strips. Always had the craziest shit to try to get people out. You know, dragging a man down the track. And, you know, you got to think about all the local news coverage there at this little podunk drag strip in Spartanburg, South Carolina. He had all these people out. And that's part of the story. We're going to talk about one of his little promotional things that his son-in-law actually told me about. And you know, he's long gone now, but yeah, this guy, he was into everything. And remember a certain story I told you about, you know, from Mustang Scandal, about the 93 Cobra that got totaled in insurance fraud? This is the same guy. Funny how that works out. He gets this track, and, you know, keep in mind, this is 81, 82. We have several local drag strips that are pretty popular, and we got this one track, and, you know, and he's over here trying to think how he can get people from these tracks to his track. Well, at the time, my dad was a pretty popular driver, and he came to my dad and my grandfather and said, I'll pay you $500 every time you come in the gate at my track. Wow, I mean, hell, that's a win. I mean, I think about $500 was nothing to really sneeze at back then, especially. $500 every time you come through the gate. We got a new favorite track. We're going out to the Spartanburg Dragway. You know, I hear that story about Jim Bullet Bailey. But then I sat down with this guy's son-in-law, and he's a mutual friend, and I've known him forever. And just a funny guy. And we got to laughing and cutting up and talking about his old pa-in-law and some stories back and forth. And he goes, did you ever hear the time he almost shot Jerry Reed? I'm like, excuse me? I got to hear this. Here they are at Spartanburg Dragway, and Bobby gets the bright idea. We're going to have a big country music concert. Now, keep in mind, he's brought some big names to this track before. He's had match races with Shirley Muldowney and Big Daddy Don Garlett's there. I actually interviewed Shirley Muldowney, and she was talking about how narrow the Spartanburg Dragway was. They said that the track was so narrow that the flames from their pipes, from the headers, were crisscrossing as they went down the track. He got the bright idea he was going to have a huge concert. And Jerry Reed, you got to think about it. Early 80s, coming off the Smokey and the Bandit stuff. I mean, you know, Hot Stuff. All these movies with Jerry Reed have been popping out. Jerry Reed was a very popular guy. And he paid Jerry Reed $10,000 to come to the Spartanburg Dragway and do a concert. So, I mean, this was a big thing. And I mean, flyers went out and, you know, announced on the radio, all the country music stations, Jerry Reed live and in person at the Spartanburg Dragway. Well, you know what? I do a lot of events, and you can plan for almost everything except Mother Nature. It came a hell of a rain, and it was just pouring. I mean, it poured the day before. They already had the stage set up. It's going to clear out. It didn't. It's just pouring rain. Just raining like pouring piss out of a boot. And just rain and rain and rain. There was probably 10 people at the track for the Jerry Reed concert. No racers at all, because nobody brings a drag car out in the rain. Bobby madder than hell. Looking at his watch, pacing. Walking from the tower out of the track in the rain and walking back into the tower, gets on the phone. Where's that son of a bitch at? Where's this son of a bitch at? About an hour later, big old nice motorhome comes pulling up. A couple guys get out, and Jerry Reed gets out stumbling. Been drinking a little bit. He goes, you always drink before a show? He goes, we ain't doing no show tonight, bud. He said, we just kind of showed up, just kind of make an appearance for the few people who might be here. Jerry ain't playing tonight. He says, pouring down rain. The stage is outside. Have you lost your mind? But keep in mind, Bobby's done paid him for this. And Bobby was one of those guys you didn't want to cross. He wasn't exactly known as a good man. He got mad, so he walked straight to the tower. Jerry Reed and his guys were standing there, and I guess they were signing a few things for the people that did show up. A few people did, mainly track people. He walks back in the rain. Keep in mind, it's still raining. Jerry Reed, about 3 sheets to the wind already. He pulls out a .357 and says, you'll never make your next show if you don't do this show. So that night at the Spartanburg Dragway, Jerry Reed did a full set in the rain for about 6 people at the Spartanburg Dragway. The thing is, when you hear that story, and I had the privilege of knowing this guy when he was among the living. This dude was just crazy like that. He was just wild. And some of the things he got into that I will never be able to tell you on YouTube. That's what makes, drag racing fun. And that's what I love about these nostalgia cars, is because this was the heyday of drag racing. These were the cars that went down the track at the Spartanburg Dragway. This takes you back to a simpler time. I grew up at Dragstrips, and it hurts me to see these Dragstrips going away. And everybody sees like Z-Max and all, the strip out in Las Vegas and, all these big tracks. But they don't think about all these little tracks, and they're folding up, because you got to think about it. As more people move into small towns and houses, and I've never understood why people want to build houses around Dragstrip anyway. They're not making muffins here. There's loud cars there, and then they complain about the noise and shut Dragstrips down. So it kind of hurts to see these tracks go away. Another cool story about the Spartanburg Dragway. There was a little kid, never been a drag strip before in his life. He used to sneak into the Spartanburg Dragway because he couldn't afford, obviously, buy a ticket. He would sneak in every night they were racing. He would lie to his dad and tell him he was going to a friend's house or whatever, and he would sneak in. And then sometimes he went with his dad. He would sneak in and just watch. And he fell in love with it. And he ended up working at the drag strip, doing little odds and end jobs. That guy now is the owner and the editor of Competition Plus magazine, Mr. Bobby Bennett. And, I've interviewed Bobby before. Me and Bobby have crossed paths several times over the years. And I love that story. That little track is what hooked him into drag racing, and then we all laugh about all the stunts and the crazy things that, back in the day that Bobby pulled. The showmanship of it, I guess, is the thing. Drag strips today don't do that. If they have a wheel stander come out, it's the end of the world. How many times have you seen where they had a concert at a drag race? Or, hey, we're dragging a stunt man down the track at a drag strip to bring people out. When we did the Jim Bullock Bailey story, I've had so many people email me and call me looking up, one, how he ended up dying, and two, how they remember seeing him like on Wide World of Sports. They remember seeing him on All This or whatever, all these shows back in the day. That's the thing that was cool about it that you just don't see anymore. Just stunt shows in general. I think that's one of the cool things of growing up in the 80s and the 90s. Like, we still had the Evil Knievel's and the Robbie Knievel, which I don't really know what he's doing now, but you know what I'm saying. You had that kind of stuff. Like you don't have that anymore. We got a very digital world. I guess I'm just an analog guy. Man, I just want to go out to old Spartanburg Dragway and just kind of walk around and see what we can find. Guys, we'll catch you next time at Rabbit's Used Cars. Guys, stay tuned. See if I die.
Look at that.
Oh, say, can you see? All right, guys, right here I got my buddy Chris Dunn. He's the driver of the Boogeyman car we shot with tonight. You guys need to check out his channel, Boogie Tag. It's kind of like the ultimate how-to hot rod and fabrication channel. He does a lot of fun stuff. Chris really mixes up, has a lot of fun. He's not no genius. He just knows what's going on with a little southern flair.
10:30.
Love it.
Yeah.